What's up, sports fans? This is Igor, your host for our new channel called Boys Couch and Ball Rugby. It's a podcast about football. No, I'm kidding. It's a podcast about rugby. We've got our usual lineup in today. On loosehead prop, we've got Henny. We've got Chris in the centres, and then Barrett is today's ball boy.
Watch out for Scara, Barrett.
Barrett, watch out for Scara. But Barrett, it's nice having you back in the studio. How was it consulting for New Zealand the last couple of weeks?
We'll see the World Cup when the results will speak for themselves. But let's just say that the Richie Mwanga Bowden Barrett experiment is not happening anymore, thanks to my input there in New Zealand.
Henny and you and Chris had a nice family weekend away in Standerton. I think it's safe to assume that you guys had a lekker braai, and the only thing that was flowing more than the brandy was cigarette smoke through the house. Am I correct?
No, Igor. The girls also flowed in Standerton.
As they do in Standerton.
Yeah, like the whole river that moves through Standerton, the girls flow the same way. Well, Igor, yes, it was a great weekend. Basically my usual weekend, braaiing, having a couple of double brandies and watching some sport. So yes, nothing to complain about. A nice good day in South Africa and a good day for White Monopoly Capital.
Chris, how was your weekend with your favourite brother Henny?
To be honest with you, Igor, Henny is absolutely lying atrociously. He literally had one double brandy and slept 7 o'clock at night up until the next morning 9 o'clock, and the next day he went to bed at 7:30. But the rebel after one GNT.
But Igor, it's because of all the girls that was flowing that they had to take a time out.
But sadly,
he's talking about his dog now.
Yeah. But sadly, there wasn't a lot of rugby on this weekend. There was 2 international games, Ireland and England. Let's do that firstly. So Ireland, one of the favourites heading into the World Cup, and then getting absolutely whacked by England with 57 points against 15. So Henny, unpack that game for us. What happened there?
Well, Igor, it was a friendly before the World Cup. I don't think in the World Cup that Ireland will be this bad. England looked like a team that was really up for it. The forwards actually dominated Ireland, which was a big surprise to me because I think Ireland have a very good forward pack. So they dominated up front and surprisingly scored a couple of very nice tries. England's backline hasn't been very great the last couple of years. They've played a very forward-based game, but this weekend they played with Owen Farrell was back. He made a big difference, and someone like Manu Tuilangi, the centre, the fire truck on wheels. He was immense in his carries, and yes, I think England had a good game, but I don't expect this big of a result in the World Cup.
So Henny, I think going forward to the World Cup now, what do Ireland change? Because they're starting to get figured out now. Their last couple of games had a poor Six Nations. I think people like Rassie Erasmus and Steve Hansen are licking their lips because there seems to be a way to beat Ireland now.
Well, yes, Igor, I do think that Ireland's the key players have dropped form in the last 18 months. Someone like Johnny Sexton and Conor Murray haven't been on their best, but you have to think about the experience they have, the forward pack they have. I do see them doing much better in the World Cup. They play a very low risk type of rugby. They basically play playoff rugby all year round. So I do expect Ireland to be much better. I do also think that Joe Schmidt is holding a couple of tricks up his sleeve back. I'm not exposing it at this stage, but I do expect Ireland to be much better. I do think it's imperative for them to get the key players fit and on form. Someone like Conor Murray, Johnny Sexton, Sean O'Brien, CJ Stander, those players are crucial to their success, and I do think that all of them in recent times have slipped up a bit. But I won't count Ireland out just yet, just because of their forward pack, and I do think they play a type of style of rugby that is very suited to playoff tournament events.
I sort of agree with Henny, but also not entirely. I think where Ireland were one of the favourites going into the World Cup about 6 months or so ago, they're now not at the same point. I think if they had to play a playoff match now against someone like South Africa or New Zealand, I would maybe pick one of those Southern Hemisphere teams against them. And these are teams that can match them up front, control the set piece maybe a bit better, and also both of those teams have dominated other Northern Hemisphere packs the last couple of years. I mean, the Springboks beat England quite comprehensively when they came here last year, and we know the strength of the New Zealand pack as well, and New Zealand will be able to match them in the backline as well. So with regards to the World Cup and having playoff matches against those teams, where do Ireland stand with that?
Well, Igor, yes, I do think Ireland's big strength is their forward pack and the fact that they don't take many risks. I do believe that if Ireland plays someone against South Africa, it will be a very evenly matched forward battle. The thing is with Ireland, they play a lot with their 9 and 10. They are pivotal in their success. So it's really essential for them to use Conor Murray as they did with the British Irish Lions, kicking box kicks, using the big wings to challenge up in the air and control ball possession again. At the moment, it's not happening. Their backline and their defense seem disorganized. Their forwards seem disinterested. But I do think it will change. I do think that they can't just be a one-trick pony. I hope for Ireland's sake that Joe Smith has a couple of tricks up his sleeve, because if they don't, I do see them struggling. But saying that, I still think they're on one of the 5 sides I would pick to contest for the World Cup.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't count them out of the mix entirely, but I think with because the way Ireland plays, they play very, very much forward based. They play a lot of pods. They play same side a lot. They don't really get into between the 5 and the 10 meter tram lines alongside the field, and it's a very predictable brand of rugby, and that does rely heavily on your 9 and on your 10 to make the right decisions on when and where to pass the ball. So Conor Murray and Johnny Sexton being in a slump of form, and Johnny Sexton, it becomes increasingly easier to place him under pressure, and then consequently Ireland don't get the go forward that they need. But I think if we flip it around, what does this match tell us about England's chances for the World Cup? Because everyone thought, the Eddie Jones era, the fantastic rugby they're playing has sort of like died down. They didn't have as much hype as previously thought, and now they come up with a pretty big statement. A 57-point win against any top 6 rugby nation is quite impressive. So, Chris, what does that tell us about England's chances for the World Cup?
Well, Igor, yeah, if you're an England fan, I think you can get excited for the World Cup. They are peaking at the right time. I think there were a few injury concerns prior to the World Cup, and I think that's solved itself now. Marco Vinopola, Itoje, Billy Vinopola, Manu Tuilagi, all those X-Factor players for England are fit and ready for the World Cup. I believe they struggled with the combinations at centre, experimenting with Farrell and Colin Slade, and then Farrell at fly-off with Benteo at inside and so on. But I think they've hit the balance now with Farrell at inside and Tulagi at outside, with George Ford at 10. So yeah, their forwards are hitting form. Big, strong, physical forwards. Ball running forwards as well. They've got a very, very good balance in their back row in 6, 7, 8. And yeah, I think all round a good balanced team, a good coach, and they will be a force to be reckoned with come World Cup.
I think what England have done really well now is they've got a really solid defensive backline now. I think with two Loggy back, because the other option at 13 was Colin Slade and Jeremy Joseph, or Jonathan Joseph, or whatever he's called. Really, not a massive centre, not defensively exciting, not attackingly exciting by no stretch of the imagination. And with Colin Slade, I think maybe playing two fly halves, it could be too much sometimes, but I think playing with three is definitely overkill and will inevitably weaken your defence at the back. And then the other game we had this weekend was Scotland against the Froggo Frenchies, and the Frogs producing another froggy game, beating Scotland last week, and then going down to them 17-14. I don't know if the match is worth analysing. I mean, it's so tactically up and down from France. They rely a hell of a lot on flair. They don't have a really structured game plan, or not very structured in the way they play. They don't have a lot of set moves, so that I think that really, really makes it difficult for them to, from game to game, and to improve from game to game. But also Scotland, I think at the last World Cup, Scotland lost very narrowly to Australia in the quarter final, where they actually should have maybe won, thanks to a Craig Hubert shocker, absolute shocker. But Scotland have gone, and I think all of us expected more from them, from Scotland, leading up to the World Cup. It seems to me now that they're really going to struggle to get out of the group.
Yes, Igor. I do think that Scotland are going to play against Japan and Ireland. Ireland is the favourites, obviously, to top that group. The other game will then basically come down to them playing against Japan. And Japan has played a couple of very good and exciting games before the World Cup. They are playing in their own country. They are higher ranked than Argentina on the world rankings, so they are no mugs by any mean. I do think that Scotland's biggest problem again with Scotland, and I think it's historically with Scotland, is the fact that they've got exciting backline players. Hugh Jones is a very good distributing outside centre, with Stuart Hogg, one of the best fullbacks in the world. But the problem is they sit with very average forwards. A guy like Josh Strauss is probably their best player, and he struggled to make the Lions team. That was when the Lions lost against the Griquas and had to play promotion relegation. So yes, I think that is their biggest problem. I think they get dominated up front. Their set pieces aren't good enough. They've got a very good 9 and exciting backline players, but you can't give those guys ball and time and space. You're always going to struggle.
Definitely, I agree. I think a lot of the game plan that it rests on Craig Laidlaw, and they need to build ramps for him now at stadium so they can get his wheelchair up, because the guy's just that old, but good goal kicker and so on. And that makes Scotland struggle. And it's true what you said. It's been a really long time since you would look at a Scotland pack and go like, "Yo, these guys are not bad." And I think even they're starting with VP now, he was a very mediocre South African player. He played for the Cheetahs. He struggled to make the team at the Cheetahs. He would never have been anywhere close to Springbok selection. And I think going with that to a World Cup is obviously not ideal. And of course, Japan, they're going to be difficult to win in this World Cup. I still think between the two teams, Scotland might take it. But I think Scotland is a lot more vulnerable now than they were at the last World Cup. But yeah, Scotland will always be brave in any game. That's their only characteristic. And it's always fun seeing them sing Power of Scotland. But I think that just about sums up Scotland's rugby. And then in other rugby news, we had the Currie Cup this weekend.
Yes, Igor, if we can just go through the results of the weekend. The Lions played the Griquas in Kimberley, and they beat them 27-26. This means the Lions end second on the log, and the Griquas third. So that will be the first semi-final come Saturday. Then the Cheetahs played the Western Province. They beat them 38-33. And then the last game of the weekend, the Blue Bulls lost to the South Sea Sharks 40-48. So semi-finals, Lions Griquas at Emirates Airline Park, and the Cheetahs playing against the Sharks in Bloemfontein.
But yeah, the Curry Cup, I think I'm still backing the boys from Kimberley to take the Curry Cup back to the hole where it belongs. Hopefully they lose it in the big hole, and then the Curry Cup doesn't have to come out ever again. But yeah, interesting rugby week. We're getting closer to the World Cup now as things progress. I know the Springboks are almost flying out. They're going to announce their team tomorrow, which is Monday. The final 31-man squad that's going to take on the world in Japan. So that's going to be pretty interesting. And then we're starting the World Cup in about 4 or 5 weeks time. So yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll be back next week with some more rugby analysis. We're going to look a bit more closely at the teams and have a good sporting week.